tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Just like a lot of ACL injuries, non-contact, just planted, doing one-on-ones, just planted. But we've already started that process of getting him back, and we're all hopeful that hopefully, the goal is sometime in September to get him back.
All right, welcome in Sports Talk. That's Dabo Sweeney talking about the injury to Deshaun Watson. Oh no.
Jeez.
That just popped in my head. I wanted to send a little chill up and down the spine of Tiger fans everywhere. Not Deshaun Watson, but you know what? Everybody's ACL is valuable. Not just Deshaun Watson's ACL, not just your ACL, Pro K-Mac. All our ACLs are valuable, as is Adrian Baker's ACL, which apparently got ripped in practice on Saturday. Non-contact injury. All right, you haters out there now. I'm not making fun or anything like that. All right, I was just trying to get a little rise out of you. Probably excited some Gamecock fans too. The idea of that happening. Is that fair to say that Gamecock fans are wishing that Deshaun Watson gets hurt?
Not the true football fans, because I think any football fan will try to beat their rival with their best players. They don't want any excuses if they beat a player. Just like if Clemson, if Connor Shaw had gotten injured, maybe won the football game. They would say,
You don't think Tiger fans were a little excited when it was Dylan Thompson warming up in Death Valley and Connor Shaw was out, and they knew they weren't going to face Connor Shaw?
No, because number 7 was standing on the sideline back then.
Number 7.
Clowney.
No. Yeah.
We'll see.
I forgot about him. All right, welcome into Sports Talk. K-Mac, you've seen a couple of terrific games. ACC tournament, except for one game of the 4 that's been played so far. Great start. 3 games decided by 3 points or less so far.
Yeah, they really have been good games. NC State and Duke came down to the wire here in the 2 o'clock game. Duke held on to win that one 92-89, and Pitt squeaked by Syracuse, and I mean squeaked by 72-71. Hughes had a shot there at the buzzer to try to win it, missed it. So the Panthers advance. So we have a pretty good-looking bracket. Florida State blew out Boston College. That was no surprise. That happened yesterday. And NC State beat Wake Forest in a close one yesterday. So you're right, Corn. The crowds here at the Verizon Center have been treated to some good action.
Yes.
All right, well, I guess the question I want to ask K-Mac, and this question will be asked every time the venue moves out of Tobacco Road, the D.C. crowd, does it have a Tobacco Road feel, or it's like kind of bland in D.C. right now?
It was a very good atmosphere for that Duke-NC State game. I was very impressed with the atmosphere here at Verizon Center. Good crowds. We'll see how many pack in here or don't pack in here for Georgia Tech Clemson, a 7-10 matchup, but it has been a good crowd.
Now, NC State had a chance, possession late, to tie that game, and Cap Barber just, I don't know what he was trying to do. He went to the basket, then he tried to dish it off, and it was a turnover, and that was it for NC State. All right, busy show coming up. USC gets a football commitment. Tell you about that. All right, Wednesday edition of Sports Talk from downtown Columbia. Good to have you along with us. 800-956-7266 is the number. Clemson, Georgia Tech coming up 7 o'clock at the ACC tournament. Then Virginia Tech and Florida State will close out the day. It's been an exciting day of basketball there. K-Mac is there, and we'll be talking with him more throughout the program, leading up to Clemson tip and also once the game is underway. What do we have coming up for you tonight here on the program? Dabo Swinney has already talked with the media. That's where he released the information about Adrian Baker and his torn ACL. You'll hear from him coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock. USC today gets a commitment in football from one of the top players in the state, Damani Staley from Ridgeview High School. He is the son of Deuce Staley, and he commits to the Gamecocks as an outside linebacker. We'll be talking to his coach at the bottom of this hour to get more about him, Perry Parks. Staley had 21 sacks as an outside linebacker defensive end last season. That's a lot of sacks. He's a very good pass rusher.
What's that position that Muschamp talks about? The buck
position, yeah.
He might be a buck.
Yes. Yeah, well, he told me that they like him as an outside linebacker, someone who can rush the passer and also drop back in coverage and occasionally maybe drop down and put his hand in the ground. But basically, he's a stand-up guy who likes to rush the passer. And, was a running back early in his Little League career, didn't like it. They moved him to defense, and he fell in love with defensive end. So he did not follow in his dad's footsteps from that standpoint.
He wants to do the hitting. He doesn't want to be hit.
Clemson and Winthrop playing this afternoon. Oh, my goodness. And that goes both ways. Oh, my goodness, good for Winthrop. Oh, my goodness, bad for the Tigers. They're in the bottom of the 7th, and Winthrop is leading Clemson 3-1. The post-USC hangover for the Tigers happened to them last year. They won the series, then hosted Winthrop on a Wednesday night and lost. Same thing right now. Tigers are trailing 3-1, 3-3-0, and Winthrop has left 3, 1-3-1. The Tigers have left 9 on base. So the timely hits are not occurring this time around for Clemson. Winthrop scored a run in the top of the first, sacrifice fly by Gonzalez. In the fifth inning, the Eagles scored 2 more runs to go up by a 3-0 score. 1 run scored on a wild pitch. The other run scored on a ground out to first base. It was a sacrifice bunt, and they must have had a runner on third. It was a sacrifice bunt. Must have been some sort of a squeeze play. Scored a run. There must have been at least maybe it was first and third, and they scored a run. However, it was lined up. They scored a run to go up 3-0. And then Clemson scored when Oki was hit by a pitch, and that the bases were loaded. Oki was hit by a pitch that forced in a run. So they have not exactly been tearing the cover off the baseball. All their runs have scored in quiet fashion: a sacrifice fly, a wild pitch, a bunt, and a hit by pitch. That's how all the runs have scored in the game. 3-1 Winthrop. Obviously, the pitching has been very good for the Eagles. They're using their 4th pitcher right now, and they've allowed, like I said, the 1 earned run. They have walked 5. They have struck out 6. The 4 pitchers combined for Winthrop, allowing just 3 hits. Harris, Polachek, Arnon, and Cook, the 4 pitchers for Winthrop so far. As far as Clemson's pitching, Higginbotham started. He went 4 1/3, 3 runs on 3 hits, 3 earned, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. Gilliam, Krall, and now Crawford on for Clemson. So their pitching has been very good as well, allowing just the 3 hits. But Winthrop has been able to manufacture their 3 runs, and they lead it 3-1. Last night, USC bounced back from its 2 losses to Clemson to club Wofford, 7-1, 13 hits for the Gamecocks. Dom Thompson-Williams had 3 of them, including a home run. USC back in action tonight at home against Furman. It'll be Cannon Cropper going to the mound for USC. No record, a 2.25 ERA. He'll face Brandon Elmy, also a sophomore right-hander. No record, an ERA of 9. He's only pitched 1 inning so far this year. And that first pitch at USC will come at 7 o'clock tonight. USC's 11-2, and Furman 7-4. And see what else we have for you. News from the Panthers. First day of free agency signing today, and the Panthers signed their own fullback, Mike Tolbert. He gets a deal. It's a 4-year deal. It's a 2-year deal. Re-signed on a 2-year deal worth nearly $2 million per year, according to a league source talking to the Charlotte Observer. So the Panthers were able to get him to stay put. He drew offers from other teams. He said he left a little bit on the table to stay in Charlotte and remain with teammates he referred to as a family. Now, the Panthers today also brought back defensive end Charles Johnson on a 1-year deal after cutting him last week in a salary cap move. He accepted a $3 million contract. That was half what another team offered him, according to his agent. So this is a good sign. This is a sign that players want to stay together, and it's not like they're making chump change. I mean, look, who of us wouldn't accept the money that these guys are getting?
I had to go for the 6. I'm sorry.
Well, they want to stay together and try and win a Super Bowl. And I like that. They're putting winning over more money. All right. It's not like they're not getting paid. They're getting paid well. But they're putting, I think, winning ahead of getting more money.
I think they also are painting an image also. Because if the agent doesn't tell me who turned down, that tells me maybe he wasn't turned down. You know, oh, look, we're going to stay together. It sounds like an image deal.
You think the agent is misleading, possibly lying? You would think an agent would do that?
Yes. By the way, Mike,
I just don't know what to think about it.
Mike Tolbert also got something else today after he signed his contract.
A big sandwich, like a 16-ounce hot dog. I mean, he's a big guy. He likes to eat.
No, he got a letter from Coastal Carolina about their fundraising for the athletic program since their football team.
Hey. Have you checked the stock portfolio of their head coach? Okay. They don't need anybody to give them any money.
Oh, yes, they do. They still
No, they really don't.
They need
No, they
fundraising.
really don't. They got a guy that could cover everything.
Yeah, but he
if he
can't.
wanted
I
to.
think the NCAA will be looking at that.
I mean, they NCAA does not know the name on those checks that are being deposited. Okay? It might be coming from somebody else's hands. Let's say there's ways of getting around. Not suggesting that that's happening at good old Coastal Carolina. The Panthers are going to lose their punter, Brad Nortman. He is headed to Jacksonville. 4-year contract at $8.8 million after the Panthers did not sign him in free agency. Panthers source indicated the Panthers offered a low-level deal that he did not accept. So obviously he's not interested in winning a Super Bowl championship anytime soon if he's going to Jacksonville. He's had a franchise record in 2013 with a gross punting average of about 48 yards. The Panthers brought in 3 punters for tryouts. Let's see here. This was going back a few weeks. Didn't they sign another punter? Yeah. The Panthers signed Kwesi Waters, Canadian Football League, just 4 days after their Super Bowl loss.
Okay.
So they got their guy, I guess. He spent 4 years in Canada, missed most of last season with a hip injury. So that's it, I think, right now for the Panthers. So an active day. They keep Tolbert. They bring Johnson back. They lose their punter, but they had another punter signed anyway. So sounds like a good day for the Panthers. All right, we'll come back, go back to D.C. in a moment. And we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night. South Carolina Forestry Commission wants you to know insects and diseases. They can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threatened forests, campsites, neighborhoods, state and national parks. You can help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you're going to burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. Another basketball note of major interest to us here in South Carolina today comes from Presbyterian. It is not the kind of news you want to hear if you're a Blue Hose fan. Coach Greg Nybert announced today that sophomore forward Deshaun Murray is going to transfer at the end of the semester. Murray, in a statement, said, "I'm announcing I'll not be returning to Presbyterian for my junior year. This is a difficult decision I've reached after speaking with my family and others close to me, based on my desire to pursue a bigger conference, a bigger school, so that I can work to play at the next level. I appreciate Presbyterian College giving me the chance to play at the Division I level. It is something that I will never forget. My 2 years at Presbyterian have been an incredible experience." Nybert said, "We wish him the absolute best. If we can help him in any way down the road, we'll be happy to do so." So there you go. He wants to step it up. Good player, 18 points per game this past season. Actually, in his career, 18 points per game. This past year, 20 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 77% from the line. So this is something, this will be like watching a recruiting. This is if you're a major school, of course, you'll have to sit out the next year. But if you have room, you have a scholarship available. This is a guy that you might certainly be looking at because he's a proven commodity playing at the mid-major level. Let's head up to D.C. KMAC is there for the ACC tournament. Clemson and Georgia Tech. KMAC, 2 teams split in the regular season, but in postseason play, well, in recent years, the Tigers have had the upper hand overall on Tech, but Tech has had the advantage over the Tigers in postseason matchups of late.
Yeah, and this is the second time in 3 years they've crossed paths in the ACC tournament, and the Tigers won both of those. That win in Atlanta for Georgia Tech really snapped a bad streak against the Tigers. So we'll see how they match up. Both these teams pretty equal in terms of wins, although Clemson has a better ACC record than Georgia Tech. And the Tigers, Brad Brownell said this week, he thinks they need to go to the championship game to have a shot at an at-large bid. But most people you talk to around here think Clemson would, in fact, have to win this tournament if they're going to get into the NCAA tournament as a automatic qualifier.
4 wins in 4 days. That's tough against the road they would have to travel. That's a beautiful arena. I think I was last there when USC played in the NCAA tournament. That would have been the second trip under Eddie Fogel.
98.
Yeah.
Against Richmond.
Right. And they missed the shot. B.J. Mackey missed a shot, and Williams missed the follow-up. It's a beautiful arena in downtown Washington. The parking can be a little bit of a pain, as you might imagine, but it's a beautiful arena, the home of the Wizards. We will check back with KMAC shortly. We got a little football coming up with you to talk to you about USC commitment. All right, we are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Bill Kornblum, Professor Tom Hayes here in Columbia. Kevin McCrary up in Washington, D.C. for Clemson and Georgia Tech. They'll be tipping off a little bit after 7 o'clock. We'll hear more from K-Mac coming up in just a few minutes. A couple of other quick notes to pass along. We now have the answer to the question, who's the new football coach at Union County High School? I think it was Mike from Union that called us last night about it. They have hired Bradley Adams from Georgetown High School, officially announced today, and ends a 6-year run with the Bulldogs, including 40 wins, 4 trips to the playoffs, 2 of the best seasons in the school's history. And he finishes there at 40-27. That makes him the winningest coach at the school, which opened in 1982. More than twice the amount of wins compared to the next winningest coach at the school. This, according to a story by Ian Gurin of the Myrtle Beach Sun News. And we take his word for that. So that's the new coach at Union County, Bradley Adams. So Georgetown is looking for a new coach. I would suggest they call Steve Tannehill. Just exchange coaches if you're interested. One more quick note in Furman basketball has announced that it's got a bid to the collegeinsider.com tournament and will host a first-round game on Tuesday. Last night, Coastal Carolina announced it, too, is going to be in that tournament and will host a game on Tuesday. And you could have, depending on what happens, Clemson hosting an NIT game on Tuesday in Greenville if things work out that particular way. Now, this morning, we got the Spurs Up alert from Will Muschamp. That sends us all scrambling, and this time it sent us scrambling to Ridgeview High School, where Damani Staley, linebacker, had committed to the Gamecocks. His coach, Perry Parks, joins us here on Sports Talk. Hey, Coach, good evening. How are you?
Doing well, Phil. How you guys doing, man?
We're doing terrific, and congratulations to you and Damani on the commitment to the Gamecocks. I guess, is it just simple to say that when he got the offer from South Carolina, it was inevitable that this day was going to come?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's something he's looked forward to since he's been a little kid. And he actually gets the offer, and now he's just waiting for him to pull the trigger, man. Today was the day.
Yeah, and what a year he had for you last year. 88 tackles, 32 tackles for loss, and 21 sacks. What makes him such a quarterback killer?
I'll tell you, it's his motor, man. When I got the job last year, I was this opportunity here in Columbia. From day one on film, I heard about it. I was the first person I watched. And, as a coach, as a coach's dream, I got excited and trying to start team up stuff before I even saw the kid in person, man. So he's that type of guy, man. High motor, high intensity guy.
Mm-hmm. Anything about his technique at a pass rusher that catches your eye?
You know what? He plays leverage, man. You hear offensive line guys talk about leverage, but defensive linemen, too, need to understand how playing low. So he plays at a low pad level, dips and rip moves, a lot of the pro reviews. Ronnie was amazing at it. Coming off the edge, he's doing that as a sophomore and as a junior here at Richie. So his upside and his potential is just through the roof.
Mm-hmm. Now, at 6'2", 215 right now, which is good for high school, but we're talking SEC defensive end, outside linebacker type. Is he going to have to put on some weight to survive in that league?
He's going to have to, man. Another guy I coached, Bryson Allen Williams from Georgia. I coached him at Cedar Grove. And, the same type adjustment that Monty's going to have to make. He's going to have to gain, 20 to 15 pounds of muscle, at that size. And his frame can handle it to be able to compete in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Will he lose any speed, any quickness by doing so?
I don't think so. He's working out really hard. And if you see the kid in person, he's got broad shoulders, long arms. He has the frame to do that and put on. I think most of his muscle game, the way his trunk is solid, he'll be up top. It'll be all chest and shoulders where he'll hold that weight. And I don't think he'll lose any of his quickness. His flexibility is something we're working on now. And I think he'll be able to run with that weight on him.
How is he in dropping back in coverage?
He's pretty good, man. A lot of people, that was nonsense. They were saying all the recruiting analysts and gurus, self-anointed gurus, what they call themselves. But he does a fairly good job. I mean, for me as a coach, man, my job is to put kids in a situation where they're successful in high school, and my job is to win games in high school. So, I mean, I told you earlier, he can rush the passer. That's what he's good at. Nobody can stop him. So, I'd be a fool to try to try something else just to get a look. But he can do it, and we'll do a lot of that this summer. And in spring, we're going to probably stand him up, let him play that outside backer position all spring coming up, just let him get a feel for it.
Yeah, this is one guru that never criticized him for doing that, by the way. It's all good. It's all good. So now that this is done, what will you work with him on in the off season here, the preseason, into the season, the things that will help your team but will also help him get ready for that next level besides putting on the additional muscle and weight?
Yeah, like you said, let him play in space and let him, get comfortable with playing in space. That might just be his safety blanket. Like, he loves rushing the passer, but, put him in some situations in the spring. We work on some scenarios and situational defense where, he has to cover the flat to the field, not the boundary. And let him run around there and get comfortable with it, and then show him, some stuff in the film room to give him that advantage. We still preach speed, and like you said, weights now. But just that, and he's being a great vocal leader right now. And that's something that, we always said, Damani, talk up, be a leader, lead these guys. And he's doing that on his own now. So that's always a good feeling as coaches doing that.
Now, those of us who had the pleasure of watching his dad play in high school and for me more in college, and then, of course, watching him in the NFL, I mean, his unique skills, his cutting ability, his vision, his quickness, Does Damani inherit any of that stuff? I know he didn't. His
quickness and burst. You definitely hit the nail on the head with that. I think if you take anything from his dad's game, his dad was physical. Damani's a physical guy too. So I'd say that quickness and that brute physicality. I think those are probably the two main attributes, if anything, that carried over from his dad to him that he definitely has. I mean, just off the hook.
Yeah, but Damani never wanted to be a running back after playing it in Little.
No, he doesn't. The running joke with me and Damani, we have lunchtime basketball, and really let the kids go off some steam in class. He might be the worst basketball player ever. And then he always says, Coach, I cannot rebound anybody. That's why everyone would get a broken nose in that school with rebounds. So, he's definitely an athlete, but he's one-on-one, see-ball, go-get-ball type guy, not the best player as far as running the ball and worry about some carries or something like that.
Now, what did he like about Muschamp, and what do you like about Muschamp and the staff and the way they are attacking recruiting in state?
Yeah, I say from Damani's standpoint, he was big on the relationships with Coach Muschamp and his staff. As far as the correspondence with mail and stuff, all those guys reaching out and he's been staying in touch with them. So I say Damani say the openness, the receptiveness the staff's given him as a high school coach, and I think many other guys would say. They're opening their doors and they're doing a little bit more than what's required of them, if I can probably say that, to try to, please us. And to me as a coach, it's awesome, man. I went to go watch those guys. They had last day of their workouts, and I'm there from the side, and then I'm, just watching them, and coach like, come on over, man. Like, don't be afraid to be on the sideline and just welcome him, man. It's a different feel over there. And everybody that knows me knows I'm a diehard Clemson guy, and those guys have me on the fence. It's so hard for you to say that. But they're doing that good. They're doing that good of a job. It's hard for me as a coach to not respect them and give them the nod, man. So I think they're gonna do well, man. I'm excited.
If they can turn the head of a Clemson guy, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, man. It's tough for me to say that, man, but it's the truth, man. I'm excited for them.
Well, congratulations once again. Damani sounds like a terrific pickup for South Carolina. Talking to him today, seems like a wonderful kid. Hope you guys have a good off season and preparation for the coming year, and we'll keep in touch with you.
Definitely, man. You got me nervous. That news about Coach Adams, man. He's a great guy. We got Union. We score on the schedule, so I need to get in there and watch some film on Georgetown now, I guess, huh?
You better get ready.
Yes, sir, man.
Take care, Perry.
Have a good night.
You too, buddy. Thank you. All right, Perry Parks. Love that name. Perry Parks. Kind of rolls off the tongue. Perry Parks. Anyway, Damani Staley. That kind of has a nice flow to it, too. Damani Staley. 6'2", 215. That's the fifth commitment for the Gamecocks for the 2017 class. Now, two are high school guys from South Carolina. The other three are JC right now, and two of those are South Carolina kids. So they're starting off early, building on South Carolina talent. Back in a moment. right, I got some advice for those folks up at Clemson at the baseball game. Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. Of course, they are located in the heart of Gamecock country. Founders at the Russell House location is available to help you with all your financial needs. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. And I bring this up because I'm building a location at Clemson as well. I also bring it up because the Tigers are down 3-1 going to the ninth against Winthrop. 3-4-0 for the Eagles. 1-4-1 for the Tigers. One skinny little run for Clemson in the fifth inning. We went over the scoring earlier. Nobody's hitting the ball today. Must be great pitching, I guess. But Winthrop on the verge of a huge win for them if they can hang on in the ninth inning. 3-1 Winthrop leading Clemson at this juncture. Hey, Mac, let's hope this isn't taking nothing away from Winthrop. Congrats to them if they win. Let's hope this isn't a precursor of things to come for Clemson athletics. We've already had the news of Adrian Baker with a torn ACL today. Now the baseball team is losing. Number 3 in the trifecta is Clemson basketball tonight.
Yeah, you're hoping that bad news coming as they're about 10 minutes away from tip-off here against Georgia Tech. The crowd is slowly, emphasis on slowly, starting to make its way to their seats here as we get closer to tip-off. I don't think we're going to have the same crowd here for this game as we did this afternoon for Duke and NC State. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well, that's just the difference between Tobacco Road teams and teams far away from Tobacco Road. This Georgia Tech team came back. This is not a game that certainly Clemson can take for granted. Georgia Tech finished up the regular season on a bit of a roll. They won 5 of their last 6. The only loss was a 3-point loss on the road to Louisville, included in that little bit of a run. They win over Clemson at home by 2. They also beat Florida State. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Pittsburgh. This is a different Georgia Tech team than the one that Clemson clubbed in Greenville about midseason.
Yeah, and that was Georgia Tech's worst ACC loss of the season, that game in Greenville against the Tigers, where they played, they being Clemson, they played very well at Bon Secours Wellness Arena this year, and maybe they'll get another game there. If Clemson can win tonight, no matter what happens against Virginia tomorrow, you got to think the Tigers are in good shape for an NIT, although there are a lot of teams that are scooping up those NIT bids. I got to think Clemson's January and all the top 25 wins would make them a strong candidate for that tournament and maybe even a home game there at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. But they're not thinking about that right now. Obviously, they're thinking about beating Georgia Tech and another crack at Virginia, a Virginia team that they played pretty well in Greenville a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm, you're exactly right. The Tigers going in 17-13, 10-8. Those numbers would get you into some kind of postseason play, either the NCAA tournament or the NIT, especially a team like Clemson that historically doesn't have big numbers in ACC play. How many times have the Tigers had double-digit wins in ACC play? 5 times I think it is now with this year. So it's been a good year for Clemson from that standpoint. K-Mac, the 2 stars of these teams, Ron Blossom for Clemson and Marcus Georges-Hunt for Georgia Tech. I think the winner will be whichever one of those has the big game, whichever one of those puts his team on its back and says, follow me to the next round.
Yeah, well, and I think both of those guys are going to do what they do. Blossom game averaged 18 points a game per season. What the issue for Clemson has been having somebody else play alongside him. He can't do it all by himself. So let's give Blossom game his 18 points that he's probably going to score tonight. That's why he's a first-team All-ACC player. He needs Jordan Roper or Avery Holmes or Dante Grantham to step up and have a big game. He needs Noko to do it well on the glass. He doesn't have to score a lot, but he has to control the paint. Then Clemson's going to win this game. There's no doubt about it. The key is getting some help for Blossom game. When they get that help, this team can beat anybody. They beat Duke. They beat Miami. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Louisville. This is a very good team. They won at Syracuse, but Blossom game has to get that help.
I think really they can't go away from their identity, and that is Clemson is first and foremost a defensive team that rebounds. And sometimes I think this year when the shots weren't dropping, they also let their defense suffer. They can't have that tonight. I think that the team, it may sound cliche, but in tournament action, the team that gets the rebounding usually wins in postseason play.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, K-Mac. We'll get back to you in the first half of tonight's game. We'll be tipping off a little bit after 7 o'clock. When we come back from the break, we'll give you more recruiting. Besides the Staley commitment to USC, there is more to talk about. We'll get to that in a moment. Okay, let's do a little bit more in recruiting today. Besides the commitments to USC from Staley, which of course is the lead news of the day and big news for South Carolina. 6'2", 215 linebacker gives the Gamecocks 5 commitments in the 2017 class. Clemson continuing, of course, its push in Florida. Some of the top players, defensive back Marco Wilson, 5'11", 180 of Plantation is one of those. He's got the Tigers high up on his list. He said Clemson, Ohio State, Florida, Tennessee, Miami, and Oklahoma standing out the most to him right now from his nearly 30 offers. He also has an offer from USC, which came from the Spurrier staff, but he said there's been no follow-up thus far from the Muschamp staff. Says he hears a lot from Clemson, talking with Venables, telling him that they really want him there. Love his technique, the way he plays a physical corner. He's been to Miami, Florida, LSU, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, USC. He visited there the summer before his 10th grade. He missed all of last season with a torn ACL, suffered in preseason. He's completely recovered and running track this spring. There is no leader among his top schools right now. Defensive back Tank Robinson of Lake Marion, offered Tuesday night by Ole Miss. Wren quarterback Jay Urich, or it could be Urich, offered today by North Dakota State, yesterday by Eastern Kentucky. Quarterback Jake Bentley from Opelika, Alabama, was offered by Alabama yesterday on a visit there. I think we mentioned that last night. We'll give you some more information on him, though. USC has been the only other visit he's taken in recent weeks. He'll be in Spartanburg Thursday to visit his family. He's not visiting USC on that trip. His other offers include USC, Auburn, Duke, Stanford, Georgia, Wake Forest, Louisville, Kentucky, NC State, LSU, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Oklahoma offered Union County receiver Shi Smith on Tuesday morning. Defensive end Michael McDaniel of Loganville, Georgia, expected to choose either USC or Georgia, visiting USC March 19th, decision soon after. Offensive lineman Kendall Randolph of Madison, Alabama, was offered Tuesday by USC. Receiver J.J. Robinson of Lakeland, Florida, tells Scout that Clemson is his current leader over Oklahoma, Florida, and Ohio State. There you go with the recruiting right now. Keep in touch with recruiting on our website, sportstalksc.com. On Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting, and that'll take you to all of our recruiting stories and also the other notes from others covering recruiting that are of interest to us. When you retweet, do so with that hashtag. We'll take you to that as well, so you never miss a beat. All right, coming up, Dabo Sweeney to begin our next hour here on Sports.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Clemson has the tying runs on base now with one man out. They trail 3-1. And the freshman sensation, Seth Beer, is at the plate. Tiger fans right now would like to have a Beer home run.
Okay.
That would it'd be a go homer if he were to hit the home run. It would be a go homer. But we shall see. Cook is on the mound. Zach Cook on the mound for Winthrop. And what is a tight, intense game. Not the kind of game we had in the USC-Clemson series. All three of those games were blowouts. This is a tight, down-to-the-wire affair. Clemson and Georgia Tech tipping off shortly. USC and Furman getting underway in baseball shortly. Something I have not gotten around to, and I'm going to start now, the rosters for the boys and girls North-South games coming up next week at Lexington High School. I believe it's at Lexington High School. I have to double check that. But anyway, have not had a chance to mention the selections. So I want to get to that real quick. For the North boys team, you have Joseph Battle. You have Joseph Battle from Abbeville, Zay Ballinger from Berea, Willie Ferguson from Blackville Hilda, Tyreek Glenn of Burns, Taj Green of C.A. Johnson, Zach Sellers of Cheraw, Quantra Taylor of Indian Land, which is in Lancaster County, Xavier Barmore of Seneca, Tavares Scott of Spartanburg, Quintarius Jones of T.L. Hanna, and Austin Walker from Westside. Boys South team, Wanye Moore from Andrews, Liddell Elmore from Branchville, Arkell Williams of Carvers Bay, Ozanta Fields of Denmark Oler, Roy Ellis of Hanapampico, Demetrius Knox of Marlboro County, Jaquez Smith of North Augusta, Trenard Farrell Jr. of Ridgeland Hardyville, Chance Prandy of South Aiken, Justin Ford of South Florence, Terrell Bowers of Somerville, and Thomas T.J. Knight from White Knoll. Girls South team. Always a battle with the girls' names. Janiqua Graham of Aiken, Shakori Jennings Schuler of Airport, Kawasha Caesar of Crestwood, Zelfair Grant of Cross, Dakiria Samuel of Dillon, Quadasia Gilliard of Green Sea Floyds, Taylor Falks of Lexington, Keoria Walker of Myrtle Beach, who's listed at 410. Keoria Walker. Aaron Hauser of Orangeburg Wilkinson. Kimmy Hotzelt of St. James. Jordan Spruer of Somerville. And Kira Wilson from Sumter. We'll get you the girls' North squad coming up in a little bit.
Coach has had a lot of success over the years, and since my time, it's been fun to be a part of all of those. It's kind of neat to walk. Coach has had a lot of success over the years, and since my time, it's been fun to be a part of all of those. It's kind of neat to walk by and remember those moments, throughout the years. So appreciate our guys coming back. Everybody's excited about Pro Day.
All right, Georgia Tech up on Clemson 6-5 early. Noko an early seat with an early foul for Clemson. Tigers not shooting it well at all, 2 of 7. Tech is 3 of 6, also out-rebounding Clemson 6 of 2, 6-2. Those numbers have got to change moving forward. Holmes has 3 for the Tigers, Mitchell 4 for Georgia Tech. Clemson baseball, they popped the top of the beer can. He hit a double to drive in the tying runs. Tigers are still batting with 2 out, bases loaded. I make that 1 out.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, it was 1 out. It was a 1-out double.
Yeah, I was asking why would it's kind of chance to send that runner from first all the way into home. He must have had a clear path.
Mm-hmm. Tigers had the bases loaded. Jolly is pinch hitting for Renwick right now. So what looked to be a sure defeat could turn out to be a victory here for the Tigers, and what a come-from-behind win it would be if they pull this out of the fire. Clemson football practicing today. Prior to practice, this is the last one before they go on spring break, practice number 6. Dabo Swinney met with the media to update things on his team. It was also Tombstone Day at Clemson. They unveiled 2 more tombstones for the wins over North Carolina and Oklahoma.
Coach has had a lot of success over the years, and since my time, it's been fun to be a part of all of those. It's kind of neat to walk by and remember those moments, throughout the years. So appreciate our guys coming back. Everybody's excited about Pro Day tomorrow. We know our guys will be amped up for that. Today's day 6 for us. And that's what I was just telling the team. It just seems like the season just finished, and now we're already day 6 of spring ball. So it goes really, really fast. But I really like what we've been able to get done these first 5 days. Been very physical. We've had a pretty good amount of installation, but we really just try to just focus on, making sure these guys are learning how to do what we're asking them to do, and in all 3 phases. So today's another big day. We'll be very competitive. That's the other thing I like about how we practice. If you don't show up, you get exposed, because it's very competitive every single day. With how we practice. We did lose Adrian Baker towards ACL. And just like a lot of ACL injuries, non-contact, just planted, doing one-on-ones, just planted. But we've already started that process of getting him back, and we're all hopeful that hopefully, the goal is sometime in September to get him back with us. But his attitude is good, but you hate when young men have to deal with that type of adversity. But we got a long line of guys that we can point to that have, starting with Deshaun Watson, Sharon Peake, and Tony Stewart, and so on, of guys who've dealt with the same thing. So hopefully Adrian will attack his rehab, like those guys, and have the same type of success. But outside of that, it's been, good spring. We've had a couple of guys get a little dinged up. Caleb Chalmers, his shoulder, but he should be back here soon. Hopefully today we'll get through and not have any other issues. But we expect everybody back once we get back from spring break. And Wiggins won't do all the contact stuff, but he will be, kind of mixed back in all the individual and stuff when we get back from spring break as well. So, again, it's been a good 5 days, and anxious to see how they compete today. We had a half scrimmage on Monday. It was the first time we really just kind of let them play a little bit. It was controlled. We created situations, and we had not quite gotten everything, so we kind of controlled it. But it was good to see the guys just go out and play and see who was kind of getting it and who still is not quite there. And we'll continue that. So I think the break's coming at a good time after 6 days, and we'll have meetings tomorrow, and these guys will be off next week, and hopefully they'll continue to study their notes and installation and come back and be ready for a strong 3-week finish.
Yeah, about the expectations that are being put on this offense already about what they might be able to accomplish next year. They haven't shied away from it, have they?
Well, I mean, they have their own high expectations. I don't think that anybody, outside of our program, has higher expectations than what these guys have for themselves. I mean, you got a lot of successful guys that are coming back, and a lot of guys that are driven and motivated and focused on being great. And that's a contagious thing. So I'm excited about having a guy like Deshaun Watson back. I'm excited to have Kelly and Nick have had more experience than they've ever had, and they'll be much more prepared to go compete. Ray's played. He's in the process of really developing. Hopefully Dion will be back at some point, and he's played now. This time last year he had not. Leggett's had the great experience. We got a lot of guys some experience in the offensive line, getting Adam Choice back. Gallman's rushed for 1,500 yards, get Mike Williams back. So there's a lot of really good things. Artavis has had 2 great years for us. They should be have high expectations. But potential, as I talk about, is one thing. Performance is what it's all about. And I always tell these guys, last year's touchdowns aren't going to win this year. You got to go and you got to start over, and that's what we're in the process of doing. And everybody's got to prove it. Deshaun Watson's got to prove every day that he's the best quarterback. Wayne's got to prove every day that he's the best running back. That's just the mentality that we try to create in our guys, and the sense of urgency that we bring to practice every day as coaches, because that's what it takes. There's no complacency. We're all focused on trying to get better. And, I expect us to be, a very good offense once again.
With Pro Day tomorrow, you've got three guys that are potentially being talked about from the last year's defense being first-round picks. That's back-to-back years with multiple first-round picks from this defense. What does it say about how far this defense has come, what you guys have done on the defensive side of the football, and maybe the three guys that are being talked about specifically?
Well, I think, first of all, we've recruited very well, and we've developed very well. I think that's really what it says. And when I say recruited very well, it doesn't mean we've signed top-ranked classes or we've signed 5 stars. You know, Kevin Dodd was a star and a half, and he's one of those guys they're talking about. Shaq was a pretty highly thought of guy coming out of high school, and he's developed as well. And obviously McKenzie was a kid coming out that was a 5-star guy that's developed too. So, it's a totality of our program that I'm most proud of. But and then I think it speaks to our defensive staff and the job that they do. I mean, they do a tremendous job. All those guys. I'm really proud of the consistency that we've been able to create, in our program, but also defensively. And again, Marion Hobby he could end up with 3 first-rounders in 2 years. And, really only one of those guys was considered a good defensive end prospect coming out of high school, and that's Shaq. Vic was just an athlete, a tailback. Never played D-line ever. And Dodd was a guy that played very little football. And so, I think Marion Hobby is as good as it gets. And, it's fun to see those guys develop. They deserve a ton of credit as well, because you got to buy in and you got to be willing to put the work in. You got to be coachable. Sometimes you have to be patient, like a guy like Kevin Dodd, and really proud of him.
With Adrian Baker being injured, who do you see competing for that starting cornerback job opposite Tankerly?
Well, right now Mark Fields is our first guy, and he's having an excellent spring. He's a different guy right now. It's amazing what happens when, sometimes some guys move on, and it's kind of all of a sudden you feel that sense of urgency of, hey, this is my opportunity. Plus, he just knows more. He's been through a season, and Mark Fields has a chance to be really, really special at that position. I mean, this kid has got everything that you need to be a great corner.
Okay, Dabo Swinney, prior to the Tigers practice today, pro day tomorrow at Clemson. Basketball, Georgia Tech 15, Clemson 14. right, we continue Sports Talk presented by South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan. Future Scholars, the smart way to save for a loved one's education, and tax time is a perfect time to invest. Visit futurescholar.com. Future Scholar, administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Let's update a couple of things going on. Georgia Tech leading Clemson 17-14, 11:48 to go in the half. Tech is at 5 of its last 6. Grantham leads Clemson with 5 points. The 5 Tigers on the floor at the timeout as of right now, the 5 on the floor, none has scored. DeVoe, Hudson, Roper, Smith, and Noko, at least based on the stat tracker here. Georgia Tech being led by Smith with 7 points. I was trying to find the first name. Smith with 7 points leading Georgia Tech. Georgia's Hunt has only 2 points, and Blossom Game has only 2 points thus far. All right, baseball, as we mentioned, Clemson rallies to beat Winthrop 4-3. What a comeback for the Tigers. They score 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th with 1 man out. And the big hit by Beer to tie the game, and then Jolly pinch hits a single down the left field line to score the winning run. And your winner is Alex Bostic. He's 1-0. Zach Cook takes the loss to fall to 0-1. And just checking, not a whole lot of hits. Well, Clemson ended up with 7 hits. Winthrop had 5. No Tiger had more than 1 hit on the day. USC has taken an early 3-0 lead on Furman, and that man Jones has homered to right field, a 2-run shot, and Destino has homered to right field, a solo shot to put the Gamecocks up 3-0. I want to go back and give you the roster for the girls North team for the North-South games coming up next week. This is separate, of course, from the Carolinas All-Star Classic games, which are next week in Myrtle Beach and at Socastee High School. So we gave you all the rosters to this point except for the girls North. So your girls North, Zipporah Scott from Belton Honeypath, Caitlin Pickens of C.A. Johnson, Tanise Davis of Fairfield Central, Leone Hill of Keenan, Bria Jackson of Keenan, Kyoto Jakia Garris of Lancaster, Malia Danaea Rivers of Lancaster, Deja Williford of Lower Richland, Janelle Addison of Ridgeview, Shantae Taylor of Spring Valley, Jasmine Blackman of Woodmont, and Nicole Franks from Wren. Also want to mention the South Carolina Basketball Coaches Association recently announced its Hall of Fame class for this year. The inductees will be Dan D'Antoni out of Socastee High School, Fran Campbell from Wren, Aubrey Pompey of Aiken, and Lynn Hicks of Wren. They'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame on Friday, March 18th, in conjunction with the North-South All-Star Game. The banquet will be at Seawells in Columbia. All right, there you go. Clemson back on top, 20-19, midway through the first half. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut and the professor from downtown Columbia, Main Street, because simply we are the Sports Talk show of Main Street. South Carolina cuts right through the heart of the states, from the coast to the mountains, can get you from point A to point B safely on any given weeknight from 6 to 8. That's what we do here on Sports Talk. And our friends at South Carolina Forestry want to remind you that insects and diseases, they can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten forests and campsites and neighborhoods and state and national parks. Help protect the trees that you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. All right, if you want to jump on board, 800-956-7266 is the phone number here on Sports Talk. We'll catch back up with K-Mac here momentarily up at the ACC tournament in D.C., where we've had two exciting games today decided by 2 points and 3 points, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we've got a good one going on right now. 1 point. 1 point. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh and Syracuse was 1 point. NC State and Duke, 3 points. Got another good one going on. Clemson and Georgia Tech in a timeout. 7:42 to play in the half. Clemson is up 25-23, and it was a Blossom game sort of taking over for the Tigers in the last few minutes. He's got 7 points now. He hit a three from the top of the key. Then he hit a drive down the right side of the lane, showing his versatility, his ability to shoot the outside shot, his ability to put the ball on the floor and go to the basket and score. And the Tigers have just scored again, so they're up by 4 now, 27-23.
Made that 25. Now it's just Tech is scoring.
Right.
The big key, though, is Clemson is, 4 out of 6 from 3 in this game. That kept them close early because Georgia Tech was getting offensive rebounds and hurting Clemson on the offensive boards. But Clemson now seems to have their offensive rhythm at this point.
Yeah, but you know, be careful, Clemson. Don't fall in love with the three. We're starting to see them jacking up threes almost every time down now, and that typically for Clemson is not the recipe for winning.
No.
But Noko's got 2 fouls. I mean, he really has not had a chance to do anything. They sat him down early. He got his first foul in the first minute, and then he picked up his second foul. He came back in. He picked up his second foul, so he's on the bench, and he's only played 2 minutes thus far. Make that 3 minutes. He's only played 3 minutes thus far, so not able to get much out of him. They're trying to protect him for the second half. Let's go to K-Mac up in D.C. He's there for the ACC tournament. We're just talking about the Tigers settling too much for 3-pointers. Now, do see a drive to the basket, the hoop and the harm. Going to give the Tigers a chance at a 3-point play, K-Mac, but are they settling too soon for threes, in your opinion?
Well, when you're making 63% of them, 5 of 8, I don't think Brad Brownell's going to complain. That 3 ball's what's been their go-to play. Now, you can't do that all game, but they're getting good looks and they're knocking them down, so you can't complain about that. The Tigers have hit 6 of their past 7. At one point, Jerome Blossom game went on a 7-0 run by himself. He's doing what Jerome Blossom game does. He has 9 points right now for the Tigers, but as these two teams did in Atlanta, they're just kind of trading blows right now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a final possession kind of game. K-Mac, it's going to go down to the wire, and you just got to hang in there right now, and then kind of position yourself to get that ball last with a chance to either protect the lead or win the game.
Georgia Tech is shooting 62%. They've been shooting well above 60% most of this game. A lot of their shots that have been going in have been contested. So I've got to think Clemson feels pretty good about the fact that they have the lead right now, despite the fact that Georgia Tech has been knocking down a high percentage of shots. And, Clemson hasn't done a lot outside of those threes. They're 5 of 9 from 3, 12 of 23 from the floor, though. So they're shooting better from 3 than they are the floor at this stage in the game. But still, they have a 2-point lead now, 29-27.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that you bring up. Let me take a quick look at this, and I'll tell you the point I'm going to make. Yeah, Georgia Tech is shooting 62%, 13 of 21. So if you take that and you go back to the second half of the game in Atlanta recently in which they beat Clemson, they shot in the second half of that game 59%, 13 of 22. So in the half and 2/3 of the half that they played Clemson here of late, they are 26 of 43 from the floor, if my addition is right. So in other words, they've sort of figured out how to score against Clemson's defense came out.
Yeah, they have. And like I said, they knocked down some contested shots, but they have got some good looks in the paint. And Clemson, by the way, has hit another 3, 6 of 10 now from deep for the Tigers. So they are scorching it from 3. I mean, you make 6 out of 10 and you still have 5 minutes to play here in the first half. So they're on pace to have a huge night from 3, and that extends the Tigers' lead to 5 now, 32-27.
Well, I'll tell you what, the good adjustment that Clemson has made, though, is dropping a guard down in the lane, because Georgia Tech was having Clemson's lunch on the post-up move, especially on the right side of the lane, and they've kind of taken that away, K-Mac, since they've made that a defensive adjustment.
And the Tigers have turned it up a little bit defensively. They have forced 6 turnovers in this game, and they lead now 34-27 after Landry Noko a few minutes ago made a dunk. So the Tigers now starting to take a little bit of control here in the last 5 minutes of this half.
Yeah, I don't know. I know, Pro, you like to say this, fool's gold. So Clemson's a 35% three-point shooting team on the season going into this game, which is that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Be careful about falling in love with the three. And they are up, and it's working for them right now, but we've seen it all too often where the hot hand from 3 can go cold in a hurry, and all of a sudden you're getting nothing out of your offense. 3-point shooting-wise this year in the ACC, the Tigers ranked 10th in the league. So comparatively speaking, they're the bottom part of the league in terms of shooting the 3. Be careful, Clemson. Be careful.
They might like the sight lines in that arena. Who knows? But the key is, I think now they have Georgia Tech's attention. That's why they got the dunk from Noko, because they came out of that 3-point line, left space for that entry pass inside the lane. So I think they've got Georgia Tech's attention.
Just for the record, that was Jitte with the dunk.
Mm-hmm.
Jitte.
Yeah, Jitte. Noko's on the bench.
I doubt you'll see Noko again in this half. They're trying to protect him. He's got 2 fouls. Came back the fouls on Noko. There was one like in the first 30 seconds or so, and Brownell pulled him, and then a second one. Were those cheapies or were those deserved?
The second one was definitely deserved. I don't remember the first one. And here you are right, that Jitte. I'm in the Dan Radakovich seats up here at the Verizon Center, so everybody looks the same from up
What
here.
you're telling me is you've got a good view of the top of the Washington Monument.
Yes, I'm a little bit higher. I'm looking down on the Washington Monument right now from my seat. No, I'm actually very happy with my setup here for doing the show. But the Tigers now, finally, they missed a 3. I haven't seen them miss one of those in a while. So, yeah, you're right, Corn. We'll see if they can keep knocking them down. If they keep shooting threes at this pace and making them at this pace, they're going to win.
Yeah.
And they're forcing turnovers, and Georgia Tech has only made 1 of 3 from 3 right now, and the one they made was a guy was in his face. So the question is, can they sustain it going into the second half? And they're getting them from different people. It's not all just Blossom Game. Avery Holmes has hit one. Dante Grantham has hit one. Blossom Game has hit one. So they're getting different guys that are making these threes. Hudson even hit one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, K-Mac. We'll get back to you at halftime. Tigers up 34-27. A reminder now for those of you who are going to be in Nashville, the Nashville Gamecock Club tomorrow night, the Poorhouse, that's Poor, on 8th Street in downtown Nashville. They're going to have a gathering there. Gamecock SEC tournament tip-off event. We'll be there doing sports talk. So it'll be 6 to 8 Eastern time, or if you're thinking Central time, 5 to 7. You have to make that adjustment as you cross that imaginary line into Central time. I always wanted to see if there's an actual line somewhere that designates the time zones, but no, it's just imaginary. We'll be there. Hope to see you there as well. We are back. Sports Talk presented by South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan. Future Scholar the smart way to save for a loved one's education in tax time, a perfect time to invest. Visit futurescholar.com. Future Scholar administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Brad Brownell, a happy man right now. He's up 34-27, but probably nobody in Orange in the state is happier right now than Monty Lee as his team pulls out a come-from-behind, bottom-of-the-ninth victory over Winston at Doug Kingsmore 4-3. Coach Lee joining us on the phone. All right, so what do you think about this one?
Well, Phil, like I've heard said before, and I say all the time, I'll take an ugly win over a beautiful loss any day. So our guys found a way to fight back at the end of the ball game. We had the leadoff count base. Winthrop had been extremely good ball game against us. Their bullpen was really, really good. They kept us at bay, even though we had some guys on base throughout the game and made big pitches in big situations. But we were able to get the leadoff guy on base, and then, and then it just kind of created some momentum for us. We had a couple guys reach, and then Seth Beer came up with a huge double to drive in two to tie it. And then right there at the end, and we got a pinch hit at bat off of Robert Jolly to lace one down the left field line to win the game for us. So it was a lot of fun for us. It was a great comeback by my guys. My guys, didn't panic. They stayed calm, stayed confident. And we got our opportunities. We capitalized that. So it's great.
Yeah, tell us about the double by Beer, and not so much. Well, tell us about that, but also the runner scoring from first. Was it close at home, or was the ball hit in a situation to an area where he had plenty of time to get home?
Well, we had Eli at first base, and Eli is probably the fastest player on the field for us. So we had first and second with Seth up, 3-1 ball game. They threw him a changeup, I believe, and it was, kind of down and away from him. And he's so strong, he almost hit it out straightaway center field. He hit it, up on the hill there, and just out of reach of the center fielder. Center fielder almost ran it down and caught it, and Eli was able to finish the first base pretty easily. So yeah, he hit it in the right spot. He hit it to the deep part of the ballpark and scored 2 runs to tie it. And after that, Seth's run represented the winning run, so they walked Oki, the next batter. Then we had a pass ball, made a second, third, and they walked Weston Wilson, who was pinch hit, and brought Jolly up, pinch hitter off the bench, and he ripped one down the left field line to win the game.
I've been sitting on this question since Friday night, and I didn't really think it was a smart question to ask, but I'm going to ask it now anyway. When Beer hit that home run in a game that was obviously lost on Friday night, but he crushed it, does that mean anything to a team when you're getting beat like you were getting beat that night? But, here's your freshman. He hits this big home run. Then you win on Saturday. You win on Sunday. You come back to win tonight. And I'm just thinking back to Friday night when he could have just gone up there and just swung away and struck out or whatever. But he stands in there and clubs one across the street. Does that mean anything?
Well, I'll tell you what it does mean. I think it shows that even when we're down by runs that, our guys, hopefully are going to go up there and compete. And that's what Seth did in that, that final at bat at Carolina that night on Friday night. So, did it breathe a little life into us? Yeah, possibly. I think the big thing is we showed that, regardless of the score, you got to go up there and compete. That's a big message that we try to send our team, and Seth does a great job of that. So, yeah, it could very well possibly, meant something to us, give us a little bit of life going into game 2. And, the funny thing is, Phil, I had somebody else ask me that in the media after the interview. So
yeah.
You weren't the only one thinking that. So I do think that, sometimes when stuff like that happens, it does give your ball club a little bit of confidence, going into, the game 2 that, hey, we're still going to go out there and compete even when we're down by runs.
All right, got about a minute left with you. So you go to ACC play now, and this is a great catapult into conference play to pull out a win like this.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that as much as last weekend was good for us from a confidence standpoint, to win a game in the middle of the week where you're down by runs in the 9th inning, it's always good for your team. It just shows you that, you got a team that's always in the ball game. Keep pressing, competing, and guys stay with the right mental mindset throughout the game. And don't get frustrated. Don't get down. Even when things don't go your way, it definitely bodes well for your team moving forward.
Coach, we thank you on short notice for joining us. We figured you wouldn't mind. You'd be in a good mood. So we appreciate that. Coming off a great come-from-behind win, and good luck to you this weekend.
Well, thank you for always having me on, Phil. I appreciate it.
You got it, Monty. Take care. Monty Lee obviously happy that his team pulled one out of the fire, the proverbial fire. And so the Tigers, they go to 9-2. They open ACC play at Wake Forest. 3 games, 6 o'clock Friday, 4 o'clock Saturday, 1 o'clock Sunday. And I got to check the score, but Wake Forest was shut out Coastal yesterday, was shutting out Coastal again today a little while ago. I have to check that. Meantime, over at USC, bottom of the second, Furman scored 2 in the top of the frame, 3-2 Gamecocks over Furman. All right, thanks again to, let's try that again. Thanks again. Can't do it right the first time. Try again. Thanks to Monty Lee for joining us again on short notice. And hey, whether you are a part of Clemson Nation or you bleed garnet and black, everybody can agree on Founders Federal Credit Union. We have a convenient location at the Russell House at USC's campus. A new location on Highway 93 in Clemson is coming soon. Founders is a sure fan favorite. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. All right, let's go to D.C. They've gone to halftime. Hey, Mac, Tigers got a little bit of a working margin here going into the break.
They do a 9-point working margin for the Tigers as they go to have a 40-31 lead over Tech. Clemson did 14-3. They shot 52% from the floor for the first half. Georgia Tech also shot 52% from the floor, but the Yellow Jackets only made 2 of 7 from 3, and they turned the ball over 10 times. So those are the two big stats: 10 turnovers for Georgia Tech, just 4 for Clemson, and 6 threes for the Tigers in the first half, and they are in control. Avery Holmes leading the way with 10 points. He's hit a pair of three-pointers. Jerome Blossomgame is 4 of 6 on the floor, 1 of 2 from 3 with 9 points. And Dante Grantham has hit a tray. He has 7 points on 3 of 6 shooting. And Sidi Jitte also with 6 points for the Tigers to round out your scoring. A very solid half there for Clemson.
Yep. You know, I just worry for their sake about shooting so many threes. Plus, they're getting beat on the boards, and when Clemson gets beat on the boards, they normally get beat. Now, maybe K-Mac, because Noko sat so much of the first half, they decided that they could not really force it inside and had to play the perimeter game.
Yeah, I mean, they had good looks there, and they were knocking them down. And I don't think Brownell's going to complain about it. But you're right, you do get concerned when you're living by that three. You can die by it, but they're stifling Georgia Tech on the other end of the floor. The Yellow Jackets didn't score in the final 2 minutes and 32 seconds of the first half, and they're struggling to find baskets. Now, they are getting the rebounds and some second chance opportunities that have kept them in this game. I think they have 10 points now on second chance attempts, so that's been the difference maker for the Tigers. I mean, for the Yellow Jackets, at least keeping them within striking distance.
I'd put Blossomgame on the block for the rest of the night.
Put him on the block. Put him down low.
Put him down low and say, go to work.
Okay, K-Mac, enjoy D.C. tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Kevin McCrary at the ACC tournament tomorrow night. From the SEC tournament, actually will be at the Poorhouse in Nashville. Not actually at the arena tomorrow night since the Gamecocks aren't playing till Friday night. But we'll be in Nashville, and K-Mac will be in D.C., and the Pro will be here on Main Street. Make sure everything flows smoothly, along with Barry Larkin, Belton Honeypath behind the scenes. All right, that'll do it. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you tomorrow night from Nashville, D.C., and Columbia.